Are you looking for the best mini gaming PC? In this video we will look at some of the 4 best gaming PCs on the market. Before we get started with our video, we have included links in the description, so make sure you check those out to see which one is in your budget range. Starting at number 1. MinisForum X1-255. Ever since Intel first unveiled the NUC form factor more than a decade ago, it's been a blueprint for mini PCs. The MinisForum X1-255 is a perfect example of that in practice. Right now, you can get this tiny little computer with a Ryzen 7 255 CPU, which has an RDNA 3 GPU similar to the Z1 Extreme you'll find in most handheld gaming PCs, for just $350. That seems like a really good deal, but there is a catch. Most budget mini PCs are bare-bones systems, which means it's a box with a mainboard, a CPU, and not much else. You'll have to supply the RAM and the storage and install them yourself. That's not a terrible deal, however. In my experience, those components are usually cheaper to buy yourself anyway, as manufacturers tend to upcharge when you move up configuration tiers. Keep in mind that I haven't reviewed this system myself. However, looking at the specs and the chassis, it seems like a solid little machine. The fact that it plugs into a wall instead of running off a battery also means that you can probably push a bit of extra performance out of the Radeon 890M GPU that's built into the processor, but you're going to want to pair it with decently fast memory. Still, even if you do pair it with some pretty good RAM, you should still temper your expectations going in. This will run most games at 1080p, just like its handheld counterparts, but you'll likely have to compromise on quality settings. But, especially if you have some extra components lying around, this could be the cheapest way to add a mini gaming PC to your setup. At number 2. GMKTec Evo-X2. The line between desktop hardware and mobile hardware continues to blur, and the GMKTec Evo-X2 shows exactly why. Because while the AMD Ryzen AI Max Plus 395, say the 10 times fast, is a chip ostensibly designed for high-end gaming laptops, it's still more than powerful enough to sit in a machine that's always plugged in. This little PC does use integrated graphics, to be fair, but the Radeon 8060S that's built into the chip is powerful. This is an RDNA 3.5 chip with 40 compute units, which is quite a bit larger than the RDNA 3.5 chip that's built into the Z2 Extreme that powers the Asus ROG Xbox Ally X. This beefy integrated GPU isn't going to max out games at 4K or anything, but when we reviewed it, we were able to get 91 frames per second in Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at 1080p with the Extreme preset. The PC was also able to run Cyberpunk 2077 with 47 frames per second with ray tracing enabled, which is extremely impressive for a little integrated GPU. You could easily have it break 60 FPS by just turning ray tracing off. However, the price is the elephant in the room. This machine costs $1,499, which is a lot of cash for a 1080p gaming rig. But keep in mind that the GMKTec Evo-X2 is tiny, and you can easily shove it in a backpack to move from place to place. Also, that Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 chip is extremely powerful in productivity workloads and AI, which makes this a great machine if you need something primarily to get work done, with some gaming on the side. And honestly, that's how most people should look at mini gaming PCs anyway. At number 3. Asus ROG NUC. When I first opened up the Asus ROG NUC, I was surprised by how small and light it was. Sure, it's using all mobile-class hardware, but for something I'm hooking into my TV, it has surprisingly little heft to it. Couple that with the fact that it looks exactly like a cable box, and this is a mini gaming PC that's perfect for blending into a living room. It's great for a media center PC already, but the NVIDIA GeForce RTX 4070 means it's no slouch when it comes to gaming, up to a point at least. The wall I kept running into again and again when I reviewed the Asus ROG NUC is that the mobile class hardware is always a limiting factor, especially when it's connected to a 4K TV. Don't get me wrong, the ROG NUC absolutely can power through any PC game on the market, including demanding ones like Cyberpunk 2077 and Black Myth: Wukong, at 1080p. If you connect this to a 4K TV, you will have to turn down some settings in some of the flashiest games if you want to maintain a solid frame rate. It is still quite a bit more powerful than the PS5 even with its limitations, and the NVIDIA graphics do allow it to use DLSS to narrow the gap at 4K. Just keep in mind that you're not going to be maxing out Black Myth, Wukong with full ray tracing or anything, and you should be fine. To be clear, with how tiny the Asus ROG NUC is, there's no way a full desktop-class graphics card would even fit inside. The Asus ROG NUC is probably one of the best mini gaming PCs you're going to find anywhere, but just like any mini gaming PC, you'll have to do some calculus about whether or not it's worth just going with a gaming laptop instead. At number 4. Corsair One i600. While most true mini gaming PCs will be running mobile-class hardware, especially with today's power-hungry components, there are still machines out there that can find a way to stuff high-performance components in a small chassis. Classically, the Corsair One has been one of the best. While I haven't reviewed the latest model, I've reviewed plenty of them in the past and they've all been incredible. The new one is powered by an RTX 5080 and an Intel Core Ultra 9 285K, along with 64GB of memory. That's a high spec for a full tower, so it's impressive that Corsair was able to build it into a chassis that's only 15 inches tall, 11.8 inches long, and 7.2 inches thick. Now, that does make it the largest system on this list by quite a bit, but this is about as small as you're going to get for this level of performance without building something crazy yourself. However, with this kind of performance in such a small chassis, you're going to be paying a premium. At the time of writing, this PC will set you back $4,499. You could definitely get similar specs for less money, but it would likely be in a chassis that'd take up much more space. Whether or not that's a sacrifice you're willing to make is up to you, but either way, you're edging closer to a full gaming PC with the Corsair One.